Hey guys, I'm back with another video. Today I'm going to be telling you about some of the stuff that I use when I'm sewing patches on jackets and vests. So let's get right into it. So I'm going to break these down kind of into the essentials and the non-essentials. So in the essentials is going to be stuff like your needles and your different types of thread and kind of like the things that kind of hold things in place. So like pins to hold things in place. And on the non-essentials, it's going to be stuff like this. So it's going to be, I'm going to put titles here. Test pieces of fabric where you can like sew different patterns and like learn things really fast. I'm going to show you both of these and we're going to really get into it. So first up guys, the thing that I use the most is black thread. Black thread, as you guys can see, most of my patches are really sewn in black thread. This one has clear nylon thread. I don't like using nylon thread and I'll go into a couple reasons why, but black thread is my favorite. And you can see I've got like all these little holes up here. That's because whenever I'm using my little pins and I'm pinning stuff down, you know, like this, I use these little ball pins. I stick them in the top. That's where they go. I don't ever put them back in this box really, so I kind of keep them here on hand at all times. That way when I'm grabbing my thread and I want to sew a patch on a jacket, I can just easily pull them out the top, go ahead and put them in the patch, and get it done. But yeah guys, so when you're sewing patches, black thread is going to be your best friend, especially if you buy a lot of black borders like I do. I don't really buy a lot of colored bordered patches just because I feel like they don't really fit the flow of my jackets, and I do have a few colored borders coming in because I think that they're going to work, and I really do like the color borders. They're typically darker borders than I'm buying. I do have a gray border coming in that's a lighter gray, so I'm going to see how that looks on the jacket or on the vest, because most of my patches from pull to plug are going to be on this. But with all that being said, black thread is my best friend, and I buy a lot of this. This is the Singer brand black thread. I buy a lot of this. Don't ever skimp out on this. I just bought more thread today. I'm going to show you that. And really a big tip about thread that I can give you is don't buy cheap thread. So guys, an example of cheap thread would be this little tan thread right here. This is like a military sewing kit thread. I'm in the military, so I have a lot of this laying around from my sewing kits. But you guys can see this thread is not very tough. You can just pull it apart like that. Whereas this thread, the Singer brand, it looks a lot thinner, but I'm using the same force, if not more. It's not coming apart. I've had a lot of times where when I started out sewing patches on my original jacket, where this would actually break because I was using the white version of this, and that thread broke all the time. Even the black thread, and I even used some of that black thread up until a few months ago because I ran out of black thread from the Singer brand, and it actually broke when I was sewing. Any slight pressure sewing a patch through, it's going to break that thread. So you really don't want to buy cheap thread. And this is an example of cheap thread. I only use this for very minor things, normally when I'm doing like maintenance on uniforms and stuff like that. But sewing patches, I would never do this because if you're gonna go into a mosh pit, this is surely gonna break. Or if you're just sewing, it's gonna break. So I don't really recommend this at all. But that's why I recommend the Singer brand and any other threads that you can get out there that are relatively strong. And going more along with the thread stuff, I also have the Singer brand needles and thread here. I've bought like 2 or 3 of these so far. This one's actually brand new, but I have opened it and I actually use it today, and I'll show you what for. Little convenient bag. It gives me a lot of needles. I really only use one needle for the most part, and I've been using one since the beginning of my sewing adventure, but I actually broke that needle in half last week, so I actually had to end up using a new needle. But it always helps to have a lot of needles and a lot of thread nearby because you might lose them. Similar to the pins and stuff, I actually put my needles in top of my thread just like that. I also have a nylon thread where I do the same thing, but again, I don't use the nylon thread anymore. I don't like it. I don't like how it works, and I don't like how it tangles itself up when you're sewing. So that's why I just stick to normal thread, and that's also why I buy these little packages, because they come with actual normal thread, and it has some white thread in there. But again, I don't use white thread often because I don't have a lot of colored borders or a lot of white borders. I have mostly black borders. And more into that, guys, I have the Singer brand. This is actually brand new. I just bought this before I recorded this video. It's a bunch of different thread colors, and the reason why I bought this is because of one, these blues, because this freaking cyan is going to be the perfect color for a patch I have coming in soon, and then this purple is going to be perfect for a patch I have coming in soon. But I need these, and plus this is going to get me into getting more colored borders because I really want more colored borders. Even though I don't buy a lot of them, I want some colored borders on my jackets and my vests. So I'm going to be using these, and these are actually like perfect size. I mean, these take forever to run out, and these are going to last just a little bit shorter than that. So I'm not too concerned, and it comes with a lot of threads, so I can try out different threads. And it comes with needles, so I don't have to worry about that. I have needles in here too. So that's going to be pretty cool. I can't wait to use these. And now for the non-essential stuff. I have these little test cloths that I've actually been sewing on. This is just one of the sleeves from this vest, actually, that I ended up cutting off a long time ago. I put a patch that I'm not going to be using on anything anytime soon on here, because I'm trying to really practice my cross stitching. And this is one tip that I really recommend before you actually start sewing on your battle vest or your battle jacket, is actually getting a little piece of test fabric. Maybe that's similar to your denim or anything in general, and you can sew your patches onto these, or maybe like an unwanted patch something they have laying on the side. You can sew them onto here and test out your skills just like this and learning a new pattern. Or not, just go for it. So yeah, that's basically all I have to say about these, and that's all I really have about the items in this video. But I also do have some tips. My first tip's going to be, again, using these practice pieces of cloth, something that's going to be similar to your denim. And then also, don't buy cheap thread. Do not buy cheap thread unless you absolutely need it or it's absolutely what you have the access to. If this is what you have to work with, that's fine. Anything's going to work. But if you have a little bit of change, like $2, $3, buy one of these. Or buy this, or even one of these. This was $3.25 for all this thread. It's going to last a long time. And you're probably not going to be sewing so small gaps that it's going to run out of thread anytime soon. So these are going to last you a long time, especially if you get different borders. And also, don't apply too much pressure to your thread because you might snap it. Even the Singer brand thread, no matter how good it is, you will end up snapping thread at least one time. It's going to suck because you might have to restart your entire patch off of that. And be mindful of the harder parts in your jacket to sew on. These are really hard parts to sew through. It's really hard to put a needle through that. It's taking a lot of force to try and get through that. And that's what's going to end up snapping your cheap thread. That can even snap your good thread. So just be mindful of where you're sewing patches. Most people's layouts will call for sewing through a harder part of the jacket at some point, and that's just natural. But don't fret. Don't have to restart all the time, but sometimes you might have to. So in closing, guys, the only thing I can say is have fun making your battle vest, have fun making your battle jacket, and make sure the patches that you get are pretty good patches. Don't get some shit patches. If you need to get some shit patches, hey, it's alright. I got some shit patches on my other jacket. But I really recommend going on pull-the-plug patches, on Nuclear Waste Productions, or even Dark Crowds, and trying to find some good patches on there. There's a lot of stuff that I have coming in the mail right now that I'm going to be selling on very soon, and these are just going to make it that much easier. So guys, be inventive, be fun, be creative, and really find new ways that you can sew, find new methods that you can sew, or new patterns or something that makes you happy. I love sewing patches on my jacket. Don't use a sewing machine unless you really want to or need to. Don't let anybody else sew on your patches for you. Stay fucking metal, and have a great day. Kaiju Productions, signing off.